Well, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year because we are back for RPL in 2024. Welcome along. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and today I'm joined by Beatnik. We have a lot to get through in terms of this, so let's just go over some basics. Last time out in Tier 2, it was Tadpole, the winner for McLaren. He returned back to the top step of the podium since his championship season, which goes all the way back to Season 7 when he was racing for Red Bull. Now he's in a top car, but this time it's for McLaren. He was in Alpine before, now he's in McLaren, and he is starting to find his ways. And since the end of Season 10 Tier 2, we've had all three active champions see the top step of the podium and no one else. So let's find out if anyone can beat the previous Tier 2 RPL champions. We're glad to have you here for Tier 2 racing today, round number 4 in Japan. It's the racetrack. It's the round number 2 seasons ago that I started commentating here in RPL. And funny enough, some of you mistaken me for Beatnik, but I'm glad to have Beatnik here so you don't mistake me for him now. Welcome along.
Great to be back. It's been a minute since I last did some commentary, but great to be back. And to clarify, yeah, I am not Ryan. I'm
Yeah,
not him.
I had to clarify that.
I'm not that guy.
You are not that
So,
guy, pal. You're not that
you
guy.
are not that guy. But it's great to be back. Fantastic racetrack. Always provides great racing. And as you said, with all the previous champions winning the previous races, it's hard to bet against them today.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see in terms of the drivers surrounding us. We have a lot of people who are in really good cars but have not found the top step of the podium yet this season. Hunted's one of them. They've only had 2 winners, Owen and Tadpole. Hunted's one of them for McLaren. He's got onto pole position. You've had Be Good, who was up there. He's not won yet. I believe he's transferred over to Tier 1. We'll get to some headlines in a moment, but yeah, there's lots to go through in terms of guys who've had chances. Bonkers, a previous race winner from the end of Season 9, was another one who only just started racing last race, back again in Tier 2. He's one who's, I'm surprised hasn't won yet. Lennon's won, Alex Bear, another one. They've not won yet, but they're some of those people who I would expect to have won by now, and I'm really shocked that they haven't.
Yeah, I mean, some very talented guys who have yet to win a race, but even looking outside of those fantastic talents, there are some unique storylines going into this. Of
Yes.
course, we got Polo God returning after a long absence, driving for Alpine today, and Red Bull taking the chance on, I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
I'm going to say Cintrix. Cintrix makes sense to me.
Good thinking. Cintrix, making his debut
Sounds
for
like a
Red Bull.
Fortnite name.
Ugh, don't get me started. Is he gonna
I'm
be
not
cranking 90s in the S's today?
Ooh, I like that.
Citrix
I like that.
cranking 90s through turn 3, and he makes the move.
Well, very good to see. I'm glad to see you all in the chat. Invade minions, welcome along, everybody. Let's get through some headlines. You spoke about Polo God. You spoke about Cintrix. I'm going to speak about some more. We'll get to everyone after, but I want to speak about those 2 guys because Polo God is now full-time for Alpine. This is his first full-time season in RPL since the very start of F1 22. In Season 7 F1, you'd have to go back to his Ferrari days right then and there. Also, around that time, he was racing F2 still, I believe, full-time. So, yeah, it would have to be since the start of the F1 22 game cycle. And now we start 2024 with Polo God back for Alpine, and it was an Alpine who won the first ever Tier 2 race of 2024 in RPL. I need to turn down my game volume. It is just a little loud. I think you all have noticed that. Also, Citrix making the debut. He's also full-time for Red Bull. JTK got dropped to a reserve due to bad performances. Groggers steps down as Ferrari team principal, and taking over that role is Jack Miles. And 2 more things as well. No penalties to be served from the drivers today, as far as I'm aware, but we have 2 other changes, and these are in regards to your drivers, Beatnik. This is Valk going to Mercedes from Aston Martin, and Wavy Knife going to Aston Martin once again from Mercedes. Now, as we start Zetsy's lap, another Mercedes Academy driver. We'll watch him, but I want to speak about this for a moment, Beatnik. I wouldn't call it a promotion or demotion, but what I would call it is getting the best out of your team for Mercedes, because Valk wasn't performing her best in Aston Martin, only 1 point to her name, actually no points to her name since Singapore, excuse me, and of last season, that is. And Wavy, no points at all for Mercedes. So I wouldn't call it a promotion or a demotion, but I call it finding the best way to get the best out of your drivers in your academy by this change.
So I mean, I made the decision that I made simply due to the fact that you are right. Valk outperformed herself, I feel, in the Mercedes last season. She did what she could. She got her first podium as well, as my other Williams driver finally joins.
He has a qualifying ban.
Yep, knew that already. So
That one I forgot for him joining.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
though.
informed him. He'll do an
Good.
outlap and retire. So, but Valk, she told me that she wasn't a big fan of the Aston Martin, and I decided, well, we're gonna do something about it. Wave and Knife was terrible in the Merc. She was terrible in the Aston. So, all right, we'll swap them. We'll see what they can do. And if things still don't work out, as we find our benchmark of a 30.7, as Centrix is
Q1.
going to destroy that with a 28.3.
On mediums.
Impressive by Centrix in his debut, as there's a McLaren as well, starting a flyer, I believe. That's hunted.
Watch that. Yeah, we'll watch that. Go
We'll have
ahead.
a look at that one. But we've decided that that's where we're gonna take this. And if this doesn't work out, I have a few other backup plans and already discussing with the other TPs what we're gonna do for season. What is it? Season 12? I don't even know.
I know, it's crazy to think how far we've gotten in RPL.
It feels like it was
No.
just yesterday, where it was season 6.
Oh, I know. And you know what? Hunted's backed off of that lap, so we'll go with Mythic, who just started one. But yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, looking at all the old clips on the YouTube now with old Season 5 races that were never uploaded previously, grabbing one from the old channel of RPL Season 1, round 17, Japanese Grand Prix highlights, and also grabbing some of those out-of-context clips, which you could call RPL slander, but used in videos, as I know that's something you liked, by the way, RPL slander.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we'll get to laps in a moment, but yeah, with that being said, it's nice to see the old days of RPL and what it looks like and compared to now, because this year during 2024 we'll get to the 5th year anniversary of the league, which is crazy to think about, as you said with season 6 though.
I try not to think of my legacy. We'll call them the legacy days of 2021, as those were the days where I was at my absolute worst. So, I'm pretty sure I took part in every single race in F1 Season 5 with a whopping 0 podiums. So, I don't like to think about it. I think my only highlight from the entire game...
Oh! We've got a
my
crash
goodness.
between two Merc cars!
You
Valk
gotta
and
be-
Evade are both out of the session!
I am punching the air right now, and somebody's going to die tonight.
Okay, well, that's happened exiting Spoon Curve, and that is both drivers who've already set a time. So, we know there will be 3 eliminated because, I mean, Shanghai's got... Oh, wait, a little slide from Hunted. But Shanghai's got a qualifying ban, and 2 have crashed out. So, now it might be down to the sense of, can you beat them on pure pace to make sure you get out of Q1?
And that may not be as easy as it sounds. I mean,
Yes.
they both had
exactly.
28s, and everyone outside the top 5 does not have a 28. So this is not going to be easy for some of these lower tier guys. Like Mythic might be able to do it if Mythic had a bad lap. Kipu needs to find pretty much a second, which maybe he had a terrible outlap. So we don't know. But this will be very interesting, as Hunted is on a flyer as he goes through 130R, got a decent toe off of Tadpole, and we'll see what he can do. But
After that, we'll switch to Gagi, by the way.
yes, and I am punching the air right now. Oh no.
Yeah,
yes. Okay.
He pits. I figured he'd backed out of it because I saw he was just losing time. Goggy's going through the S section now. We'll talk about the circuit. I'll give this one a flyer and talk about how you want to navigate your way through it. We watched a lap from Sauberfan, who did a one here in another league in the main chat. Also, we watched him do a lap here in RPL F1, which spiked some controversy. Well, for our drivers here, I don't think anyone's going to spike any controversy, but it was that section there in the Degnas where it was basically flat out through the first one, and people felt like it was impossible to do. This exact corner in the hairpin, you're going to see some drivers rear locking, whether they mean to or not. That's another thing he did, which, again, spiked some controversy. We'll get out of the controversy and we'll get to the final sector here in a moment. But coming through Spoon Curve now, this is a tricky area, I feel like, on this game. I feel like every other corner is easier to take except for that one. That one's still a little tricky to take. You still got to find a way to nail it. And Blue Goggy, who was running really, really well last week for AlphaTauri, having a chance to end up on the podium with where he was at one point in the race, having a chance to at least maybe be in the points. He ended up crashing under the safety car, and he's come to the final chicane now to complete a lap, riding those curbs, wanting to get better this week. AlphaTauri needs better. No points since round 3 last season, 7th fastest. So the chance to beat some of those guys who crashed out maybe becoming a little more tricky.
Yep. Well, also have to remember AlphaTauri versus Mercedes. That's not exactly easy to accomplish. So, all these lower end guys, odds are they will not be beating that. As somebody improved, I think that was Tadpole. Yep, it was 29-0, and he hasn't even beat them either. So, still the top 5, the only cars to beat those two that have crashed out. And oops, someone else went up. Polo God.
Polo God did. Yeah.
Make that the top 6 then.
Yeah.
So decent lap there from the man making his RPL return. As there's another one, Gecko, second fastest.
Yeah, Gecko's been impressive recently. I mean, he had a really good lap in Canada in Q1. Obviously, he didn't have as good of a lap in the rain, but he still put up some decent laps and showed us what he's capable of here in RPL. We've got Hunted and Zatsy the next two on a lap. Once one of them starts a lap, whoever the first one is, I'll have you go on board and talk us through it. But Polo God has not made a Tier 2 start since Imola, when he had a podium last in Tier 2. That was for Haas at the time, who actually had a podium in this race I almost said last season, but the last time he raced here 2 seasons ago. It was a Haas, McLaren, and a Red Bull on that podium.
Yeah, very interesting there. That is what we call ESPN stats right there. So we'll see if we get some of those other freak stats, which, well, the only stat that I don't like is all the cars that are out are Merc cars. So, choice words to be said in the Academy chat today. Yeah. As I am currently watching Wavy Knife, we'll see what he can do in the sole remaining Aston Martin.
Well, how about you watch Zatsy, because Zatsy just started on that
oh my
lap.
goodness!
Go through him.
Already goes.
Oh.
Round goes
Well,
Wavy. He dropped it on the exit curb of Spoon and Death. So
yes.
So he's going from bad to worse for us today.
Yeah, since you just caught Wavy's spin, we caught the end of it on stream. Watch Zatsy, because Zatsy just started a lap. I mean, you know, the way we always do it is we try to go through people who are next to start a lap or closest to start a lap, go on board with them, they complete a lap, same cycle over and over. And Zatsy was the one closest to starting a lap now. So you got the final sector of him now to see what he could do.
Yep. Final sector, a very easy part of the track here. Basically one singular braking zone and 130R. Worked out easy in modern day Formula 1 cars. You want to find the 100-meter board, maybe just before it, as you brake for Spoon, as he locks rears. Had some problems through there. Get on the power as early as you can, and run down to the line, cut it as much as you can. 9th fastest for Zatsy. Not bad at all.
And AlphaTauri just started a lap. That's Kipu, and Kipu is using a bit of runoff there at turn 8.
Shame for him, but I think he'll have another chance here. Yeah, 6 minutes left in the session. More than enough time. As
we'll go more with Alex Bear.
Yeah,
There's
Alex
no
Bear,
one starting
he's
a lap.
purple in
Yeah.
sector 2.
Yep.
Through the chicane. I don't remember its name. It's just the chicane as we come down through the final corner where that Ferris
Yeah.
wheel used to be or is, and P4.
Yeah, so now the P8 drivers look to be safe from being eliminated. Um, getting through. Who else is on a lap? We'll look through. Let's see. It's hard when no one's on an out lap. Hunted has just started another one, it looks like. We'll go on board with him, and I'll give it to you in the second sector as we're about to come through that area very soon. The thing I want to say before then, though, is Minions, part of Ferrari Academy, a reserve. I believe he got a podium in this race, Season 9. He is being loaned out to Alpine today. He'll have to serve the qualifying ban, though. But with that being said, it's his first start since the end of Season 9 Tier 2 and middle of Season 10, Season 9 F1, excuse me. Hunted now.
Yeah, and Hunted going through the second sector now. Difficult corner coming up, spoon curve, very famous. You want to hit that inside curve, but not too much because it can easily unsettle the car and cause a spin. And that exit curve caught out wavy as well. So lots of deadly curves around this track. And of course, this track is also infamous for that old bump on the exit of the final corner way back in 2019. Thankfully, long fixed as Hunted comes through the... Yeah, thank goodness. As he comes through the final chicane, neat and tidy, snap of oversteer on the exit. Gets on the power as early as you can, cuts the final corner as much as you can, and it's a 28-6. P9 for Hunted.
He should be safe. Yeah, he should be safe. I'm gonna invite Minions now. Who's the one closest to starting a lap before
Looks like we got an AlphaTauri, which is Kipu.
Okay.
And he is on a... Yeah, he's getting ready to start one.
Why does the RPL account not have Minions added? Okay, well, I will do that now.
And I gotta invite Tadpole. He's having problems too.
All right.
So
Minion 030105. Nope, I don't want to go back on that. Apologies for those of you not catching the action currently. Zatsy's retired from the session. I don't know if that's a crash or not.
Infits.
EA. Oh, I don't have you through EA. Oh, okay. I would have to search for your name, but I can't do that. Oh, okay.
Hey, well, while he does that, we got two cars getting ready to start flyers. We got Tadpole in... nope, that's Polo God, sorry. Polo God in the Alpine.
Yeah, someone have to get
and the Haas of Mythic, both starting flyers. And then there's Wavy Knife, who will be traffic for Polo here in the first sector. First sector, very tricky, but very famous with these S's, and also unbelievably deadly for those pad users. But Polo making good work of it. Looking nice and easy through there for him. And as he comes through to the Sector 1 split, he is almost 2/10 down, which, I'm going to be honest, don't know why he's out there. He should be safe.
Yeah, I don't know what he's feeling here, but you got 2.5 minutes left, so if you want to get on track now, I mean, it's a good time to improve laps, but a lot of our guys who could get back out on track are retired.
Yeah, only a handful of guys out there still. We got Kipu, who's in the drop zone, so he's got to find something. And then we got Wavy Knife, who still has yet to set a valid lap, but he's on an out lap at the moment.
So it looks like it's going to be between anyone from Mythic to Wavy here, you know, and I don't really think it's going to be anything else beside that, but Minions has finally joined. Polo got through Sector 2 split is 2/10 down. I'm sure with the difference of Tier 1 having ABS forced off compared to ABS on in Tier 2, I'm sure he's loving this experience and he's coming into the pits. Yeah, I don't see why you would go back on a track besides getting more laps and experience. We have Mythic crossing the line now trying to improve. You're correct about that. Can he improve? Yes, he can. He's 10th fastest. So now that knocks Blue Goggy toward the drop zone and into some concerns. Now we have Wavy, who's not got a lap and in the drop zone. We'll go through him in the first sector, then transfer over to Beatnik. You got the first two turns. It's a little tricky in this area. You don't want to touch those curbs, but you want to get to the left side of this curb. Be all out on that. Use all the room you can until the S's. And the S's, you want to go 5th gear right here. You're already below 80% of the battery. You saw you went a little wide there in the entry toward the middle part of the S's. He didn't maximize it totally, but this should be safe to get him through if he can continue this lap perfectly. Now to the sector split. The two Degnas, 31.9. This should be okay to get him inside that top 13 area, but he's going to have to find more time if his competitors improve.
Yeah, but remember, there's not too many competitors out there that have the pace of that car. So as he goes through the hairpin now, nice and easy in third gear, just trying not to lose traction. It's a tidy lap so far, but we're coming up to Spoon now. This is where he spun it on his last lap. Brake at 50 meters, clip the inside curb. You can get a bit closer to that wide curb there on the exit, and that's where he spun last time, but he keeps it clean this time. And now only one challenging part of this track left, which is that famous chicane and 130R, as he sets a purple sector, but we don't know if that's real or not. As he comes through into the braking zone, 100 meters, flick the car into the right, locks the rears, and he invalidates!
Oh, invalid. No! He
And
had a
he's out of
chance to
Q1.
maybe get to the line, but he couldn't do it in time. He is definitely out, so it's between Kippu and Blue Goggy. Blue Goggy either seems to have backed off or going slower to the end of the first sector, and he's definitely backed off. So he's hoping his teammate Kippu does not improve here, and Kippu is improving through the first sector. It's between the two AlphaTauris, and AlphaTauri, like I said, needs something good here. I believe it's one of the last times you commented in Tier 2. The last race they scored points, Austria last season. That is now over 11 rounds ago, and they have to find something as a team here, or else they won't score any points. And they've not scored any points since then. And when I say not scored any points at all in that kind of way, I mean for the season. We still have many races to go, but considering how bad this car is in this game, you know, that's all you could do if you're Blue Goggy. Help your teammate out, give him a slipstream. If you feel like you weren't good enough to get through on pace, and, you know, I guess as some people would say, shithouse your way through it, then at least allow your teammate to get some slip and get through now. He's 5/10 up on the time. He's got to go through this final sector and not invalidate. He's got a chicane to go. He's got final corner. He's got traction. He's got a time to put on the boards. That's going to be improving, and he's through, and he's knocked Blue Goggy out.
Very tidy lap there from Kippu and the AlphaTauri. Puts himself into P10. And, well, I think we're only going to have, like 13 drivers here in Q2 here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, 13 cars will take part in Q2, which means only 3 will be eliminated. 3 cars failed to set a lap. One of them had a quali ban. Minions didn't have a chance because of how late he joined, and Wavy invalidated all his laps.
And obviously, as we know, Goggy couldn't get through on pace. Slowest of them all. Invade and Valk both crashed. And although they get through to Q2, they can't set laps. So, there you have it. Tadpole, Hunted, Centrix, and there was someone else I missed. Owen. All have laps in that first session on mediums. So we'll find out who was sandbagging in that first session because they saw 2 guys crashed out and one had a qualifying ban, setting them further back, and who was not. So we're on to Q2. I won't give any predictions just yet, but Bonkers in Q1, back out on top here and trying to find a way to be back out on top once this race ends, because it has been a long time since he has won, at least considering the top cars he's been in. He did not race at the end of season 10 tier 2, but he had a long wait due to not having his wheel. He raced last week, didn't really have the best of pace. It was a little off considering bonker standards and considering how good he is, but it's been since, I believe it was Italy, penultimate round of season 9, which, you know, we talk about it as if it's a long time, but it's over a season in tier 2, and technically that is a long time, even though we have 11 rounds to 13 rounds of a season in this tier.
Of course, we had the increase in rounds this season from 11 to 13 due to the increased length of Tier 1 now being a 26-race calendar, which I might be mistaken, but I think that's every track in the game. So
It is. You're right.
So we're racing in all corners of the globe, pretty much. At least the F1 globe. Apparently Africa doesn't count.
Nah.
So...
Lewis Hamilton to be upset at you.
that guy. He doesn't
Well,
know where I am. So, Zatsy will... he is leading the charge to be the first guy to start a flyer here. As he goes through...
yeah, I mean...
Boone.
We'll be able to go on board with him and talk us through it. 10 viewers. Let us know some predictions in chat. I think out in this qualifying session will be Zatsi, Kipu, and I'm going to go with Mythic. I think that'll be the slowest of those three, and we get to see who ends up giving us a charge for some thrilling action for Q2.
So
Take us through, Zatsi.
So my prediction here.
After you're done with the predictions.
My prediction will be Kipu out and most likely Zatsi out. And my next prediction will be someone will crash out in this session.
Oh,
I don't know who. I'm not going to give a name who, but someone will crash out.
Okay. Well, you're just saying that because you're both Merc cars or Merc Academy cars crashed out.
Or cars out in
Zatsi.
Q1. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, not a good sight. Zatsi coming through the S section now. Take us away with what this track is like and how you've loved to experience it. You raced here in F1 the last time we raced here in season number 9. Take us through it.
Well, season 9, I was in the Aston, which my genuine most hated car in this game. Zatsi goes through Degner 1, 6th gear in the Williams. Unique strategy there, as you don't want to get too much on that exit curve there out of Degner 2. It can be very deadly and cause spins. You want to sort of avoid this hairpin curb. Can also be deadly, like most curves at this racetrack. Now the run down towards Spoon. You want to hug that right side as much as you can to cut that track. Yeah, and now coming through Spoon. 6th gear, sometimes 5th if you're feeling brave to get that extra rotation. 4th gear on exit, hit that curb as much as you want, and now you got to cut that track. Stay to the inside as much as you can before you make your run towards 130R. Very famous. Hug that inside. You could put that curb pretty cheeky there. And 100 meters on the braking into this chicane that I still don't remember the name of. And he makes very quick work of it. 4th gear on the traction, making it look easy. Cross the line, 28.9. Good lap, Zatsi.
Very zesty from Zatsi. Since the benchmark of a 28.9 next across the line is a Haas of Mythic. What can Mythic do as we have some guys still starting laps? Bonkers goes fastest, 27.9. Behind that is Cintrix, 6/10 faster than him. So one of Cookie's projects, who he's recruited here to the league, has really taken some advice from him, it looks like, by going completely fast. I'll check what the Tier 1 pole time is in a little bit from the end of Season 9. Polo God third fastest for Alpine. Ferrari's Alex Baer is fourth. Mercedes with Owen on mediums is third, so that's not too representative, but it shows he'd probably be ahead of Bonkers with full pace still left in that machine. Hunted comes through the final sector now. He actually looks like he's starting a lap with the battery. I'll take us through Sector 1 once again. This final couple of corners, you really can kind of just slow the car down and prepare yourself, but you don't want to put yourself with too many nerves to the point where you spin the car, because going through turn 1, turn 2 here, if you do that or you have a bad exit out of that chicane, which I don't know the name of either, you set yourself up very poorly here through the S's. As you can see, Hunted through the grass, spinning now. Will he crash out? Will he stay in? Keeps it off the wall, so Hunted is going to have to go for another one after that one.
Boo. I want my prediction, man.
Who do you have on a lap? Lennon. Lennon's on a lap. How about you go through with him?
Lennon, where's Lennon? Oh, there he is. He's in P9, of course. Exiting Sector 1. Got some traffic ahead. It is the McLaren that I believe just spun 7.5 seconds faster in Sector 1. Absolute blazing.
Tadpole was second. That's who it was.
Tadpole also had a really nice lap. While you were watching the first sector of Hunted, I was looking at Tadpole. Very tidy through the unknown chicane, as Lennon coming down the isn't straight here on the run towards Spoon curve. We've talked over laps multiple times, and it's time to just watch these guys do what they do best, not crash. Run towards 130 yard. Well, yeah. Apparently, Mercedes Academy guys have had that issue in Q1. 22 seconds ahead. Absolutely blazing by Lennon. This is the lap of the century for him as he goes through the unknown chicane. And out of the final corner. Here we go. Cut it as much as you can, and it's P4 for Mr. Lennon. Behind Bonkers, Tadpole, and Cintrix, because that's what it means to be in 4th place.
Quickly, before we go on board with J&T to start a lap, how was your Christmas and New Year's?
Action-packed. Was in the process of moving back to the desert temporarily, So
Oh yeah. Yep.
that was my reasoning for not racing for so long. Um,
True.
it's been busy, it's been chaotic, but it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Of course,
Of course.
I have experienced a major loss in pace due to
Oh,
me not
fun.
racing in multiple months. But so prepare to watch me qualify in P20 at Baku tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
One thing before we go on board with JNT and talk about him, I found the name for that chicane. I have it up on my screen, and I should have mentioned it, but it's the Casio Triangle. And
I
how
should
did
have
we
known
forget
that.
that it's a triangle? I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you always hear it called the triangle. It's like, why do you not remember that? Turn 8 here, which is a tricky corner. Kippu went off there in Q1, so now JNT comes through with a 31.5. He's one of them yet to set a lap. Degna's now he comes in the famous Alfa Romeo through that corner. Now, coming to the hairpin, let's see what he could do. You gotta find your braking point just fine right here. You gotta find, do you want to brake late, or do you want to, roll it out to the exit of the corner like he did? He had a little slide, a little power slide, you could call it, out of that corner. That's a corner you want to figure out. Do you want to go for exit speed? Do you want to go for entry speed? What do you want to, prioritize as he comes to spoon curve? Both corners now look clean, and now Beatnik, one final sector to go. Not much time to find, but still a lot can happen.
What can happen in the Casio Triangle? I know it now. As he comes through the totally triangle-looking triangle, barely keeps it valid, out of the final corner, which has a name, I'm sure, and he sets a lap time of a 28.1. Very impressive. That is not
Yeah,
a crash out from Tadpole.
Believe it or not, it doesn't have a corner name. It's just Casio Triangle still. It's just turn 18.
That's lame.
So, yeah, you got 1 through 18. So, yeah. Who's
Here
next to
comes
start a
Gecko.
lap? We got
Gecko's coming up to the line into
True.
130R. He comes. Easy flat, and I think it might even be flat in the wet as he comes through the Casio Triangle now. My new favorite word of the day. And he comes through Casio Triangle Part 2, turn 18. As he comes across the line, P3. Alfa Romeo looking strong today. I think
Yeah,
I think
they
they're
are.
hacking in Degner 1. Totally.
Well, Sauber fan must have taught him something. No, I'll say
Darn
this right now.
gummit.
I will say this, okay? We've got one guy starting a lap. I think that's Polo God. We'll go on board with him. I'll speak about his lap in a moment. The thing I was going to mention about Alfa Romeo is more so a JNT. Of 4 drivers this season who have not scored points, we have Wavy, Valk, JNT, and Gagi, who've raced 1 or more races this season. Out of those guys, the only, Mythic as well, Valk as well, I guess, I already said Valk. Mythic as well is one of them. But out of those 4 guys that I had on that list, funny enough, JNT is the only one in this session. Maybe you can include Mythic now since he's, a 5th person on that list, I guess, who've gotten this session and haven't scored points this season. So this is going to be the testimony to see what can they do today. Can they score points today for the first time this season at round 4? Got a good chance to do so. Japan always seems to be either chaotic, tricky, or one that catches some out. And speaking of catching people out, it looks like has not caught Polo out too well throughout the first half the lap. He goes to the second sector split now. He's got 9/10 to the top of the board, and he's lost time, so I think he's backed out of this one. Who is on the lap? We've got Alex Bear. Alex Bear coming through 130R and Casio Triangle. How about you take us through this, Beatnik?
My favorite corner of the day, the Casio Triangle. Here he comes, braking at 100 meters. It's been a tidy lap from so far. Well, you've been watching Polo. I've been watching Alex Bear. This has been very tidy from him, and it's got top 3 potential. Make that top 2. Second place goes Alex Bear, but still 4/10 off Citrix. And meanwhile, we got Hunted leaving the Casio Triangle. I love this. And it's P2 for him.
Look at this!
He immediately dethrones Alex Bear.
Well, we can't say Centric is Cookie 2.0, right? I mean, he's got some competition, and it's not Q3 just yet. Currently out of qualifying is Zatsi, Mythic, and Kippu. And Mythic has retired from the session. The only one to retire from the session. Now Tadpole does. So we know Mythic's out. Kippu's got a chance to improve. and set a lap time that's inside the top 10. And same with Zatsy, who's on track right now, but both of them have a long ways to go to Polo God.
Kipu has the whole 1 minute 28.226 seconds. That's what he needs to find in order to dethrone Polo God, as he is yet to set a lap time. So, Kipu hasn't left the pits just yet, but I think we are going to see this wave of cars come out soon, as that is an Alfa Romeo passing by the screen. So that would be Gecko and the Alpine of Polo God. So they're going to be the first two to come out of the pits. Meanwhile, I don't think anyone's on the lap. Oh yeah, Zatsy.
Yeah, Zatsy's the closest one.
Yep, he's in spoon.
Well, I was just gonna say I've been watching him through this outlap, and he's, you know, you got the McLaren behind on an outlap, and I think Hunted's really trying to get him a blocking penalty here. Now he finally goes past him, but yeah, Hunted was. I don't know if it was intentional or not. I'm not gonna suggest it was. It did sound like I suggested it was, but I don't think Hunted would do that on purpose. But he was just staying behind Zatsy for like the whole in-lap, and it just made no sense at all. So, I mean, Hunted, Alex Baird, Tadpole, Cintrix, I'm sure they're safe. Lennon thinks he's safe. I'd say that anyone Lennon and above are safe. Zatsy kind of cut the entry of the final sector. I don't know if that'll still be valid. It's not. So I was correct on that, how he cut that to try to find time, and he invalidated in the process. Never mind, actually,
he's good.
Needed to fix itself.
He's good.
He's good. So we will be able to see a hot lap here before the final laps. And if you're not out on track right now, you're likely not going to get a lap, because it will take over 1:30 to get through there. We've got Kipu and Zatsy in the bottom three, still out here to get laps. Zatsy and Kipu being the only two. Zatsy comes through the first sector now. He's found a 10th, but he's going to have to find a lot more compared to Polo God. The good thing compared to Polo God and Zatsy, the two used to be teammates here in the very beginning of RPL, is Zatsy's got a lot more experience recently of this game. Polo God does not. Polo God's only done Saudi Arabia in the last 4 months of racing in RPL. So Zatsy has a lot more chance, I would say, in my opinion, to improve this lap and knock out Polo God. But can Zatsy find the time? He's going to have slipstream. Yes, he will. He's going to get that from Owen McMoron, the Mercedes driver who has just ducked out to avoid the Red Bull in the runoff. Zatsy is up by 3/10, and Owen is absolutely tugging him along beautifully. Look at this. That is surely almost a 10th of slipstream. Maybe, if not a 10th, at least half a 10th. Comes to the final corners. Casio Triangle has him in a slide. It will not be enough, but he's just so close to Polo God. We're relying on Kipu now.
Well, always the chance for somebody to, DNF. I don't think he's not going to get into Q3, unfortunately. Almost had it. 1/10 off. Impressive stuff from Zatsy, showing the Williams heritage there. And also, the two remaining Merc cars about to be won, working together. Love to see it.
Well, I'm going to go off board with outlaps here because it's the end of the session, Beatnik, so we can go across anyone crossing the line. J&T has had a malfunction on his lap. He should be safe. Polo God, though, although he is safe, he is improving. So Polo God, proving that this return is not just a little test here. He's put some nice practice in to go P4. Polo God is going to be through to Q3.
Gecko's going faster.
He could not do it in Saudi Arabia in Tier 1.
Oh, no, he isn't. He backed out. Gecko backed out. Rip.
There you go.
Owen
didn't do it in Saudi Arabia, but he did it here.
Owen's
now,
next. Here he comes.
Of Owen coming through here. Spoon curve. What can he do in terms of sector times? He's safe right now, but if Kipu finds a lot of time, Owen's the one at risk. And then Owen, if he improves, he puts Lennon at risk. So now Owen 7/10 of an improvement through the lap so far. Can he find the top two on the board? He's done it well so far this season. He got pole position last week. He's going to try to set himself up for another one this week by maybe topping the session. He does.
That's my lad. That is my lad, Owen. No bias at all here. Here comes J&T, though. He's been rapid throughout Q1 and Q2, but he's going to back off because he is safe. And now Kipu, the last of the runners. Here he comes. Out of the final corner. Not enough. He will stay 12th. And the bottom three, Zatsy, Kipu, Mythic.
So there you go. AlphaTauri struggles continue. Not good for them. You also have a Haas in the bottom three. They've scored points. at least more than half the races in the last 14 races. So if it's going to happen, it's going to require a lot from Mythic. Williams with Zatsy has had a good return here from being Pinarello MB to going back to Zatsy. He has not finished worse than P14 in races since his return. And although he's out in qualifying, he's not any worse than P14. And he's not any worse than P11 right now.
I just see what you saw in what you wrote in the fun facts chat. Very funny.
Thank you. I appreciate it. 27-2 to top Q3. Or sorry, Q2. I did not know it was called the Casio Triangle either. I did not know. So sorry about that, folks. Owen, top of the board over Centrix. Then you got Hunted for McLaren. Alex Bear for Ferrari. You've got 4 different academies inside that top 4. Very good to see on our return to racing in RPL in 2024. Tadpole 6, Polo God's 5th. Polo God making it 5 different teams in the top 5. Then you got Tadpole. Geku's been impressive. Bonkers for Red Bull, maybe hiding something. J&T for Alfa Romeo, who's not far off teammate. Geku's been impressive. And Lennon, who's kind of been down there throughout these 2 sessions so far. And had pace in Texas, maybe could have challenged Owen for the win. He didn't do so, but we know Lennon from the way he's come into this league. And since he started off, he's another one who has been impressive. 2 podiums, no wins this season, but he scored points in every one of his starts. The same with Alex Bear, so a lot to be expected with those 2 Ferrari drivers who looked like the strongest lineup into this season when they had Stenner instead of Lennon. And Lennon gone from Haas to Ferrari now since Stenner is only racing Formula Endurance full-time.
And I know the pace of Lennon, of course. I raced against him when he drove his debut for Haas when I was in Aston Martin in Tier 2 at that time. Raced against him directly. Had a very fun battle in that race too, but I knew he was fast considering the fact that he was in a Haas and I was in an Aston. That Qatar race, very enjoyable. And I knew how fast he was, and I knew that he was going to be winning races. As J&T and Gecko are the first 2 to leave the pits for Alfa Romeo. We'll see one of them set hot laps first.
Well, the team that will be called Stake F1 Team in the brand new F1 season in 2024 are hoping they can cook some steak, but have no mistakes in this qualifying session for Q3. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. All right, pole time for Tier 1, Q3 was a 26.8 by Cryptic. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the pole time will be a 26.8, but it's hard to tell if it will be faster or not. Because the Cryptic's lap was a 26.886. You had Scyther in the 26.9s. Sauberfan was up there. Reese was up there. It was a really close qualifying session all the way throughout. But if you set everyone's lap in, Q2 and put it in Tier 1 from round 16 of Japan in Season 9, you would have, the top guys of Owen and Centrix being P8 in that session. And P8 was covered by 3/10 to the top of the board. So, quick prediction before we go on board with laps. I'm going to go the top 3 being, in no particular order, I'm going to go Centrix, Owen, and I'm going to include Lennon. I think Lennon's been the big sandbagger in this session, and he's going to improve on what he's been doing in Q1 and Q2 by a country mile.
Centrix P1. We're going to go with, wow, this is going to be tough. We'll go Owen in P2, and we are going to go we're going to go Hunted P3. I think there's more pace in that McLaren of his.
Yeah,
so,
I did the same thing in Texas. I counted him out, and he was on pole, so I get it. Coming through the second sector now is Gecko. That Alfa Romeo team, with both cars in, have really been cooking. And